We have a teenager who's deeply troubled. He doesn't know what to do. And the issue is so important, he doesn't know who to talk with. So he goes out into the woods and he kneels down on the ground and he asks this question from the bottom of his heart. What church should I join? That question has probably in some way brought us together here today to talk about discernment. And you're here because perhaps there's a question on your heart for yourself or for your congregation about your future, something that's really important. So we're going to look at the foundations of spiritual discernment. First off, you can tell by the name what it is and what it isn't. Spiritual discernment. Many of us are pretty rational. We're in our heads, we're used to making decisions and then living with them. Some of us might not be, just go with the flow, everything unfolds beautifully. But the very word spiritual here in the title means that we are looking to God, means that we believe that God is involved in our lives and that we can call on God when we need help, when we don't know where to go. So here we are, spiritual discernment. What does this even mean? What does it look like? But most importantly, what will be expected of me? There are 3 ways that I've boiled it down to look at this as simply as possible. The first thing that's expected of me is that I be able to let go. And this letting go happens in different ways, and it happens as the process unfolds. But the very first level of letting go is letting go of my ability to solve it on my own, and my willingness to open my hands, to let go of the future that I thought I would have, maybe the future I thought I deserved to have, the future that our congregation was working toward through all these generations, to let go of my outcome or our outcomes, and to hold it with an open hand. So if we can manage this holy indifference, this spiritual freedom, if we can manage this letting go, another thing that's called on us is to go deep. Now, one example that I've thought of is oftentimes we don't know exactly what the issue is that's facing us. We might know that something's off, something's wrong, but we'll often look to symptoms as opposed to looking at the cause of our distress. So for an individual, the question that could surface is, should I quit my job? And maybe for a congregation, a question that might surface is, should we spend the money and repave the parking lot? And those are perfectly good questions. When we're looking at spiritual discernment, we want to be willing to sit in the messy middle, to let our initial discomfort rest on the surface, and then spend time with it and dig down underneath. What is it at the root of this question? And it might lead different places. For a congregation, it might lead to, in what way are we called to offer hospitality through this building? Or what will the future home of our congregation look like? I believe that asking an open-ended question, the way young Joseph did in the forest, might be a good sign that you're on the road to both letting go and going deep. Not to say that yes and no questions can't get the job done, but I believe that that's something we want to look for as we are opening ourselves and as we are learning to see what's right in front of us. Because we're going to have to let go of some cherished ideals and assumptions about ourselves, both as individuals and as groups. So having this ability to really see what's in front of us, to let go of our expectations, and to go deep with that, to be present to what's truly there right in front of us, is so important. So the third stage that I like to think about with this spiritual discernment is reach out. And the first reaching out is reaching out to God. Just as Joseph did on his knees in that grove, reaching out his heart, hoping against hope that someone was on the other end of the line, we're also called to be very brave, to have courage, and to put our heart's desires into our prayers, to put them right in the middle of our meditations, and to ask God, God, where are you leading? What should I be looking at? And then to listen, to be willing to listen once we've reached out. And the other way that we reach out is we reach out to others who are around us. In a congregation, this means gathering data. It means knowing what questions to ask, finding questions to ask, and then reaching out to all the stakeholders, looking around to see what do we actually look like, who's at play in this situation. Sending forth all of our feelers and then bringing back the information, to hold it lovingly and to hold it in continued discernment, to lay it before God and say, this is what we've received. How shall we look at all of this? What meaning can we make from it? So these 3 steps, pretty simple and yet pretty tough to stick to. What's expected of us? It's expected that we let go. It's expected that we go deep. And it's expected that we reach out. And if we can stay true to these steps, I believe that we can encounter life that we did not expect. We can encounter the gifts of relationship with God. We can encounter fresh energy and a freedom from the stuckness that can come to us in so many different ways. What did Joseph do? He took his heart's cry and put it into his prayer. And then when he received an answer, he stuck with it. He had the courage to do that. And then here we are. So I wish you all grace and all blessings in your own discernment, in whatever it is that brought you to click on this tab today. And I hope that you also will be able to have the courage to let go of your preconceptions, to let go of even your hopes, even your wishes, to let go of them and be with what truly is. And that you'll be able to go deep, to stay very curious about what's unfolding right in front of you. Stay very curious about your own experience and curious about your life together in community, to keep your eyes open to see what new thing might be emerging. And I pray that you'll be able to reach out, that you might not be stuck in some silo all by yourself or all by yourselves, but that you'll be able to find the resources you need. You'll be able to listen to one another and ask questions that really matter. And that you'll be able to continually bend your heart, all of your hearts, toward God, and continue to stay open and move slowly and ask, what's needed in this situation? How can we be faithful? Thank you so much for your time, and God bless you in your discernment.